going on, guys? It's Seth back with another Defense Wins Fantasy, part of the Fantasy Holics Podcast Network. We're to the offseason. What does that mean? We need to start understanding some dynasty aspects of our leagues. We need to start realizing that, hey, this is the offseason. This is when dynasty leagues are made or broken for the final or going into next season. So I wanted to go over some kind of tips and tricks, more so some mistakes not to make going into your next year. If you're somewhat new to Dynasty, if you're somewhat new to IDP in general, this is something that's going to help you. Now, most of the data and information I'm going to give you this week is not specific to IDP. We will be throwing in and touching in some of that stuff, but the keys are there, and we'll kind of dive into it. Like I said, there's 4 mistakes that we really want to make sure that you're not making during the offseason. Or if you're just new to dynasty leagues in general. It's really imperative to kind of understand, one, a lot of people feel like they're getting taken advantage of right off the bat when they get some trade offers, things like that. 2, they think that there's a certain strategy that they need to follow, and it might not necessarily be the right way to go about it. So let's go ahead and just dive in. Number 1 on the list is giving up all of your draft picks. Some leagues can go through 1 to 5 years into the future. I've even seen 10 in some, which is insane. But trading away all of your picks is really detrimental to the future of your team. So you're going to trade for a lot of veterans that are known, solid veterans at that point in time, but a bunch of it ends up being you have guys that are no longer valuable on your team. You thought they were going to be good. You thought they were going to be productive. You thought. Then the NFL gets in the way. Roster cuts, gets hurt, gets suspended, gets traded to a not as good situation. All those things can happen. And now you have nothing to stand on. And what you want to understand is that there's only 2 ways to improve a dynasty roster, truly. It's by making trades and drafting rookies. So why are draft picks so important? Because they're the only thing that's capable of doing both. Draft picks have a high value. They really never lose that value until they're traded. They never get injured. They never take up a spot on your roster. They don't do any of that stuff. They are fluid. You don't have to, they're like a liquid asset. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to hold a spot. You don't have to do all these things. You don't have the risk. It's just the hope. And that's what people love in fantasy is the hope. What could it be? It's Peter Griffin, right? That draft pick could be anything. It could even be a better draft pick. The key is it's the most valuable item in your arsenal. I'm not saying don't trade draft picks. I'm saying be intelligent about it. Do not give away your entire team. Do not sell the farm just for one championship. You can sell some of the farm, because if it doesn't work out, now you're just in trouble. You're just SOL. You're out there on an island hoping somebody is going to want Ezekiel Elliott at this point in his career because you gave up a whole lot for him. Don't give up the one asset that won't lose value as long as you hold it. Point number 2. Understand roster construction. understand that everybody in every league has the philosophy that the most important position that you have on your roster is running back. I get it. Redraft leagues, all those kind of leagues have that philosophy, and it's not necessarily wrong. They are important, but they're also the highest injury position in the NFL. They're also the shortest careers in the NFL. Shorter careers, shorter shelf lives in terms of high-level production, and they're very likely to just get replaced. The NFL cycles through running backs. When they get to that second contract, a lot of them don't necessarily get it with the same team, which means they go to a position that isn't as comfortable. And now you just have to hope that they're also as valuable as they once were. Not necessarily the case. Instead of building your team around running backs, it needs to be built around wide receivers. Typically, the high-end wide receivers are extremely stable year to year. They're very consistent in their production. They have longer career arcs, better shelf life at high production, and they're not normally as injury-prone or injury, risk-wise than you are with the running backs. So it holds its value better, which gives you longer window of trade value with these players. You have a higher level of sustainable benefit with these players. It's the way, if you're going to make a big move and try to get a big name player, typically it's going to be better to get it as a wide receiver because you're going to have that asset for longer. It's going to hold its value better. And you just have the opportunity to flip it down the road if need be at a higher rate of return. Your return on investment is higher with with wide receivers than it is with running backs. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't care about running backs in dynasty leagues. They're important. They're very valuable, and they help you win games and win championships. But what you need to do is understand the running backs that you're getting, how much you're going to spend to get them, and understand that the best way to really acquire them for the cheapest cost is out of the draft. You get a solid core of wide receivers that you've used to whether trade, pick up, all that kind of stuff. Then you can start focusing on some running backs in the draft. Take a shotgun approach. Draft a few of them. Draft a lot of them. And then bank on one or two of them hitting. Hope that they turn into a starter. Hope that they get an elite opportunity. Are all of them going to be that? No. But so often, a guy gets a 5 or 6, 10-game run in a season due to an injury that will win championships. So what's that mean if you're setting up as a dynasty league that's just starting out? Let's take a guy like Austin Eckler, 27-year-old running back, been phenomenal the last 2 years. Fact of the matter is that you're building your team. It's probably more beneficial to take a guy like Chris Olave or DK Metcalf instead of him. Might be the smarter move. Eckler's 28, Metcalf's 25, Olave's 22. Longevity, upside, all those things. Is it always going to hit? No, not necessarily. But we've seen these players. It's not like these guys are rookies that have never played in the NFL yet. We've seen what they can do on the field, and it's high-level production. So don't be afraid to focus on building that wide receiving group rather than the running back room. Shotgun approach on the running back via the draft typically. Go with known, high-performing wide receivers. Even if you have to trade for them, the benefit's most likely going to be there for longer. Now, this same belief, when you talk about IDP, can be set to linebackers. You do have a little bit bigger of a window with linebackers as top performers. But typically, they're the ones that fall off the first when we talk about IDP players. They lose some speed. They're not able to play 3 downs anymore, and you start seeing the drop-off, which means that the value in trading them isn't there as well. The people that hold their value the best, well, technically it's D tackles and safeties, but D-line typically holds their value well into the early 30s. Safeties, they hit it early, 24, 25, and they are high producers typically until they retire, which is, that 32, 33 window. If you have a guy that's a high performer at safety, typically he's going to stay a high performer at safety. Now, you're going to have some one-off seasons on some of these guys because big plays and all of that, but typically that's where you're going to have your safeties and your D-line are your wide receivers, your linebackers are your running backs, and your cornerbacks are crapshoot in a back alley for $5. We just see what happens, Now, the second point of roster construction is don't be afraid of off-season not having what you would call a great starting lineup or enough players to fill in all your spots during the offseason. Do not think that you have to get a position for a spot just because you have an opening. Don't be afraid of trading your running back 1 for a wide receiver 1 just because now you're like, what am I going to do at running back? There's plenty of time to fix that. Plenty of time to focus on that. So don't be afraid to make a move just because you feel like it leaves a hole in your roster. That's what the draft's for. That's what the free agency's for. That's what other trades are for. Upgrade if it suits your team and helps with your overall construction vision that you see. So this kind of rolls into the next one. Do not draft rookie drafts based on need. You see this year after year after year. Draft for value, not for need. It's a well-known saying, but yet we still see people just taking exactly what they need, whether or not it's the best player on the board, whether or not it's somebody that's really going to help their team. Do not actively pass on better prospects, especially if you feel like they are really good. It's a dynasty league for a reason. At worst, if it's a better prospect, it's going to be a better trade option. It's going to be allowing you to trade somebody that is a starter or a very high performer on your team that maybe is a little bit older. Move them out. Always go with what's best available. This coming year, Bijan Robinson should be the first pick off of every Dynasty League board. Period. I don't care if it's Superflex. I don't care if it's 2 quarterback. I don't care. Bijan Robinson is the dude. And if you need a quarterback, you're going to be tempted to take Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. You are. I get it. Don't. Trade back to 102 or 103. Get more value for that pick if you feel that it's better for you to take the quarterback. I still wouldn't do it. You could also trade out of the 101 for an already established, well-known, elite quarterback. There's times when this will fill your gap when you need it that way. But don't just say, well, I have this hole in my roster, this is what I'm going to do. There's going to be times that it just kind of fits together, and that's fantastic. But make it the exception, not the rule. And the final thing that we're going to talk about, with it being so much more digital, the internet is a wonderful tool to help you understand trades, understand value, understand all these things. There's trade calculators, there's tools out there to help you say, am I getting a good deal? Am I getting a bad deal? I'm not opposed to using these. I think they're beneficial as a starting point. Plus, depending on which one you use, it could give you an entirely different example. One side could win, one side could lose. I saw this in an article a while ago that basically had a trade of George Kittle and Dameon Pierce for Tony Pollard and Dallas Goedert. One trade calculator said it was very heavy into the Kittle-Pierce side. Another trade calculator said that it was very heavy in the Goddard-Pollard side. And another trade thing said, it's pretty fair. Once again, if you like the trade, if you feel comfortable with the trade, make the trade. Don't sit here and argue on semantics of a pick here or there or something that's just not quite balanced. If you're a believer in Dameon Pierce and you love that you're getting George Kittle, he's looking good with Brock Purdy, make the trade. If you are thinking that Pierce might not necessarily have the job as they got a new head coach and you like how Dallas Goedert has a great rapport with Hurts and Tony Pollard is hurt but not, he's going to come back just fine, take that side of the trade. Fact of the matter is that all it is a guide, a rough draft, something to at least make you feel like you're not getting royally screwed in the deal. Which, surprise, somebody's going to end up not happy with the trade, and it's not going to just because, the trade calculator said so. No, somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to get traded. Tony Pollard's going to end up on a team where they just suck and he can't get any touchdowns. All those things are possible. So don't be afraid to just feel strongly in your opinions of players and make the deal. Feel comfortable about it. That's the fun of it. So don't just be afraid because something on the internet, which is just made up by people that have their own personal opinions, there's no mathematical, factual information behind this. It's just gut feeling, which is exactly what you have. All I'm saying is believe in yourself, believe in the decisions that you want to make, and make the trades. It's part of the fun. Nobody wants to be in a league where nobody talks and nobody trades. Doesn't have to be a crazy amount of trades, but you want to at least have some conversation. Have people say, that was a terrible trade, or, wow, I can't believe you completely stole that trade you stole all those players from that guy. And then 2 weeks later, one of the big players on your side gets hurt, and now it's an absolute travesty trade. It happens. Sometimes. Just be happy that you have people to make fun of you about it, because that's part of the fun too. Everybody remembers their bad trades. Once in a while, people remember their really, really good ones. But don't let it be the end-all, be-all thing. It's some arbitrary trade mathematician calculator thing that, once again, has no true standing. It's just public opinion. So that's it, guys. Like I said, it's a little bit more of a full dynasty, and it can be taken more so just any type of dynasty league, but it's some good information. It's something that you can at least think about, understand, and just feel that philosophy of what have you been doing on your league? Has it been working? Has it not? Maybe to go this strategy. I know in a lot of my leagues, running backs are very, very valuable. They're important to have. And I get it. It's nice to have. But they're also a very, very fast expiring asset. Your return on investment is dropping every year they're in the league. If you don't capitalize on them and win a championship, which only one person a year can do, is it a good move to hang on to them? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I'm not saying don't have any running backs at all, but if you've got 3 top 12 running backs with one sitting on the bench, maybe try to improve your team in a different spot, in a different light. or get some more draft picks because they're the best asset you can hold. All right. This has been Defense Wins Fantasy. We will see you guys next week.